After years of feeling lonely, this is a story of how I went searching for a home and what I found instead. I am a person who struggled with loneliness a lot in recent years, and it's funny because if you looked at my life from the outside, I was always surrounded by people looking happy. But under the surface, I was constantly searching, wondering if this place or these people might finally be mine. And don't get me wrong, I loved the places I lived, and I loved the people I was surrounded by, but I often felt different, like I wasn't quite a match. Like if I showed myself, I wouldn't be fully accepted. And instead of facing that feeling head on, I had this fantasy that out there somewhere, there would be a place that I could finally belong. So in 2022, I left my job to find the sense of fulfillment I was looking for out there somewhere. And if you've already seen last week's vlog, you know this portion of the story, but if you don't, I'm gonna do a little recap. I lived nomadically for a while, searching long and far. I love travel, in fact, I still do. But after a while, it became increasingly clear that living as a nomad wasn't making me happy. It felt like I was skimming the surface of life without ever growing roots. And it was there on the edge of burnout that I met Oriana. A Costa Rican local I met hitchhiking in the mountains. She invited me to spend some time in her home region of Chiripo, Costa Rica. There, I was captivated by the sense of grounded open-heartedness of the locals, the slow pace of life, and their connections to the land and each other. I witnessed firsthand the fulfillment that came from the deep sense of belonging the locals had with the land and each other. But this was a borrowed reality. Despite all the travel and all the searching, I had not yet found this sense of belonging for myself. I wondered, what was belonging, and would it be possible for me to find it too? At the time, I didn't know that I was merely days away from finding my answer. Eventually, after a few days, it was time to go. Oriana was going to go traveling or something, I don't quite remember, and she said, you could stay at my house if you want, but there wasn't a good internet source and I really needed to get some work done. So I decided to change locations, and the only thing available in this little tiny region was up the mountain, a few towns over. And I saw a picture of this little hostel, and I got so flooded with intuition, like a good feeling. So I booked a few nights and took my backpack and just walked up the mountain through these little winding hills and winding towns. When I arrived at the hostel, the owner wasn't there. It wasn't clear whether or not my booking had gone through, so it wasn't even clear if I had a room yet. But a local told me, don't worry, the owner will be back in an hour, you can talk to her then. So I went down to the river to just rest and chill for a little while, waiting for the owner to come back to see if I had a place to stay. My body just was so relaxed in this new environment, and I didn't know why. Eventually, the hostel owner came back. She was so kind and made up a bed for me right away. It didn't matter that my booking hadn't gone through properly. It was such an inviting experience. Thank you. And I just set up for a few days and started working. I'm alive and well from sunny Costa Rica. I wanted to show you I'm at a hostel in the mountains, and right next to us is this beautiful river. And as the days went by, I continued to get more and more comfortable. I'm really loving it here in the mountains. Like the community, the creativity, the nature, and I'm so happy here. It was like slowly falling in love with a place, as if it was mine. I have a friend on my bed. Aww, what a nice surprise. There were 2 dogs and a cat in the hostel that I immediately felt so connected with. Starboy, Shia, and Susu. A lot of the hostel guests felt the same way, like the animals were just so cute, I can't even handle it. Look who's in my bed. Oh my god, Shia. So Shia every morning has been walking through this window when it's open and then coming and chilling in the bedroom. Yeah?
Hey, look how cute this is right here.
What's cute? Aww. Aww. You're so cute. As I was living in this hostel, naturally, I started to meet people. What's your name?
Corey.
Hi, Corey. Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Meeting the people in Chiripo was different than the other communities I had visited. They had such a unique perspective on life. This is Ange next to us. She's the one who runs the hostel I've been staying at. And she's super badass and started her own business, and then now she's doing amazing things for the world.
It's a creative hearts.
Aww. Where the hostel was situated was at the base of a hike. It's also quite rural to get to, and there's a lot of artists in the community, so the people that end up there are not really tourists. They're usually like hikers, Costa Rican locals, musicians, artists, creatives. Like, it was this really interesting mix. People that I had never encountered before, and I just found all the people I was meeting I felt so safe with and so inspired by. It wasn't just my emotional needs that were getting met, it was also my physical needs. Like, the slowness of life and the connection to nature and the land meant that I felt so nourished. I was getting so much more sleep than I had been, and the fact that I was in the mountains meant I was naturally hiking every single day. The connection to nature made exercise so fun, and I began to become a lot more healthy really quickly. There was also so much food everywhere, like good food that resonated with my body. I started cooking with my new friends. There was an abundance of organic food, just like either being grown at the hostel or at the organic market or farmer's market down the hill.
This is essence. That's so good.
As time went on, I realized that the feeling that I was feeling right since the beginning, that sense of home that I couldn't name, the sense of resonance with the people, that feeling came from safety.
Another morning and another river dip.
I felt so safe there, enough for my walls to be completely let down, let people see me as I am, and like experience the world accepting me.
I'm at Casa Colibri still. I just got out of the river. I've had the most wonderful week. I'm just feeling so received, like welcomed in a way that I didn't really experience in Canada, because I think people have forgotten how to truly welcome and receive each other, you know? Like, show yourself authentically, but also receive someone else in all their multitudes at the same time.
Within the safety I felt within this new space, I felt like some of the authentic parts of my personality really started to emerge.
I've been feeling so myself more than ever before.
I started going to women's circles, and I kept going to Lama Dorje's events and really connecting with people who were pursuing some of these spiritual goals in life. And I went to an open mic and just like started leaning into my creativity again and playing guitar. This space really mirrored who I was and my values. This whole like larger process that I was going through, it was part of this larger process of unmasking my personality and myself and my true values underneath everything. I remember during that time, I posted an Instagram story. Hi Instagram! And I had all of these messages from people being like, wow, you look so happy, or your energy is completely transformed. What changed? What changed was I felt this sense of fulfillment because I felt such a deep sense of belonging to a level I hadn't actually felt before. Obviously, this was a transformation that was internal just as much as it was external. Knowing that the root of my loneliness and longing for a sense of home had a lot more to do with my own feeling of internal safety, as well as needing to feel seen and understood, instead of needing to find the perfect place, made me reflect a lot on how we're actually participants in our own sense of belonging, because we're the ones that get to choose whether we have our walls up or not. As adults, we're also the primary people in our own lives that get to curate our own sense of safety. We're also the ones that have the most agency over our healing journey, especially if you have a history of nervous system dysregulation or trauma that lives within you. Therefore, you also have more power than you think in your own journey towards finding belonging and happiness. And I just want to read you this quote. So Brene Brown defines true belonging as a spiritual practice of believing in and belonging to yourself so deeply that you can share your authentic self with the world, finding sacredness in both being part of something and standing alone. This quote really describes how I was feeling on the inside, but if the story were to stop here, it would be incomplete. Yes, we have control over our own ability to belong to ourselves and show our authentic self, but we don't have control over other people's people's reactions to us. And unfortunately, not everyone has the capacity to accept you. I think that's why experiencing Chiripo was so profound for me, because I was received in a way that I hadn't fully been received before. With Ange in this week's vlog, she's the one that created this hostel and built this community and kept inviting people in. Ange is the hostel owner and she has a podcast. We're about to go record an episode.
Hi! Yeah, and Susu's with us too. Aww.
The people there actively create belonging through the way they accept people.
Wow, how do you feel in your body right now?
Nervous, like I just finished singing in front of a crowd.
Through meeting these people, I got to really see that belonging isn't something that you're just given. It's something that you can actively give to other people as well.
Yay! Thank you.
Thank you.
So much fun.
So I started to wonder, how could I create that sense of community wherever I went?
I just feel so inspired that like living this open-hearted is possible, and I definitely see this as a bubble here, like this community up in the mountains in Chiripo and Costa Rica. Like, yeah, the rest of the world isn't behaving like this, but also many of us don't know that living like this is possible. I just feel like if more people came into this mindset, we could create fractals of change. Feeling is contagious.
And in total, I was kind of in and out of this area of Costa Rica for almost 2 months of time. And I didn't end up staying just because I was called to new places to explore. And maybe one day it'll be my forever home. Maybe one day I'll go back. But now, when I think of my future, I want to live in a place that makes me feel like I felt in Chiripo. Your sense of belonging is so tied to your inner world. If you build that sense of safety inside yourself, home will begin to follow you everywhere you go. There's so many people out there who haven't found their sense of belonging yet, and if that's one of you, keep going. Trust that there's a place there for you. It needs to be cultivated within yourself as much as it needs to be cultivated externally. Home's a feeling, not just a place. Thank you for watching. Also, I hope you liked my extra flowers. It was my birthday, so I got lots of flowers and I'm putting them in the background so you can see them. That's it for today's video. Let me know what you think. Comment below what you liked. Stay tuned for next week because we've got a lot of adventures coming up.